What's up, Hoof listeners? Welcome back to this Friday edition of the Hoof Podcast. Thank you for being with us on the bye week. Sitting here with Anthony. We're still waiting on Sterling's to recover. He does have coronavirus, so we wish him the best. Praying for him every day. What's going on, Anthony?
Oh, just enjoying the bye week, getting some extra work done, not stressing about a game this week, knowing that the Bills are 7-3 and holding their spot in the standings. Feels pretty good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 7-3 is a great spot to be going into the bye week, at top of the division. I think they're half a game up on Miami, but yeah, I think that changes here in the next few weeks.
Well, yeah, they can't quite catch us yet. We have pretty much every tiebreaker there is against them at this point, mainly because we're 4-0 in the division. And yes, they have a couple of easy games, but then they play a pretty rough stretch for the end. I'm not worried about the Dolphins yet. They still have a rookie QB. He's been quite impressive. The team has been impressive, but they still got to keep it all together. And they're going to falter at some point, and then Dolphins fans are probably going to freak out about it and have to come back to reality a little bit. So the Bills are the first place team, and they're going to remain that way the rest of the year, in my mind.
Yeah, I think the Bills are definitely the more complete team. I expect Miami to come back next year, though, and be pretty challenging. But we'll worry about that when it happens. What do you got planned for the bye week? There's no Bills game.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy watching whatever game is on in the early time here on regular TV here in Denver. So I'll watch whatever games are on, not stress myself out. My wife won't have to hear me screaming at the TV, which will be nice. Maybe, I don't know. There's still fantasy implications there, right? Now I get to watch it, right. Think about my fantasy team, think about my bets, my 5 for 5, all of that. So it's nice to not have the anticipation of a game, but at the same time, it's going to feel weird having a Sunday go by and not have the Bills game going on.
Yeah, I definitely do a lot of fantasy on bye weeks. Keeps you occupied, keeps you into the games, turn on the red zone. Usually when the Bills game's on, obviously you don't watch red zone, watch the entire game. So that'll be kind of fun with no commercials and things like that. So looking forward to it, but really just want the Bills to play, to be honest. Let's get back at it. They got the Chargers in 2 weeks, and that'll be a good matchup. I mean, Justin Herbert cut his hair, so hopefully that has an impact on his play. Hopefully he's just a normal person now. But
Samson
them
cut
going
his
to
hair,
Buffalo, yeah,
lost his strength.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to prep for that game next week. You can tune in Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. Check out our live show as we prepare for the Chargers. We'll give a little bit of recap on Sunday's games, and we will look forward to the Chargers as well as Friday. We'll get you hyped up, ready for that game. So, we'll play a little Stampede. Been a while since we've hit this segment, but Anthony, you know the drill. I got 10 questions for you.
Here we go.
Because there's two of us, maybe we'll just do a little discussion afterward, but keep it short. But just give us the first thing that comes to mind. As soon as the question's asked, what's the first thing?
All right, gotta love it. Here
mind?
We go. Quick answer.
All right. The team who was most likely to beat Kansas City in the playoffs, not named the Buffalo Bills. Because I know you.
You knew I was going to say the Buffalo Bills for sure. Oh, man. I'm going to say, man, who matches up well against that team? The Pittsburgh Steelers. They were actually my AFC prediction, AFC Championship game preseason prediction was the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. So I'll go Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, especially because if it's in Pittsburgh, that's a huge advantage.
They're the 1 seed right now.
So, all right, moving on. In the NFL draft next season, what position will be listed as the Bills' number 1 need?
We kind of touched on this on the live show. Bills' number 1 need or Bills' number 1
need?
What they're most likely to pick.
Yeah, when you're watching the draft, it has team needs.
Yep.
Usually there's 3 or 4 positions at the bottom. The one farthest left is most of the time the biggest need, according to people who look at rosters.
I'm going to say offensive line, probably guard. will be the biggest need in the draft because of the guys who are coming up for free agency, unless they sign guys before that. But offensive line for sure, and be more specific, I'll say a guard.
Yeah, I think it's going to be left end or right end.
Oh.
Pass rusher.
Okay.
Maybe they put an edge thing there. Yeah, I think so. I don't expect Trent Murphy to come back, so I think that'll be a big need for the Bills in the offseason.
All right. I see where you're coming from. I mean, I definitely don't expect Trent Murphy back. He's terrible. He should have been cut this preseason, but he's there, so we'll see what he can do the rest of the year. But I don't want to see him get another, oh, look, he got 3 sacks in a meaningless Week 17 game, so let's keep him on for another year at an overpriced price. No, thank you. Get the hell out of town. You're done. Go sign somewhere else. Thank you for your service.
All right, moving on. 4. Outside of Stephon Diggs, who is the best receiver in the NFL right now?
Why you gotta ask me that? Trying to open the wound already? Come on, it's DeAndre Hopkins. Unfortunately, very fresh in our minds. I would have said that regardless of him playing against the Bills or that huge game-winning catch. But yeah, for me, it's DeAndre Hopkins. The guy just, even when he was with Houston, he was one of the best in the league. Now he's continuing to keep it at that level. He can catch the ball in any situation at any time. And we saw that firsthand.
I might go Devontae Adams, because he's just on fire right now these past few weeks. And he's carrying that team to victories. I know he did have some injuries early on, so the stats aren't up to where DeAndre Hopkins is. But, yeah, those two guys, I think, are definitely clearly 1-2. And I can't think of any right off the top of my head for a third. What do you got for a third?
Julio Jones is still doing his thing. I mean, when he's healthy and on the field anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Otherwise, there's a lot of other names in that next tier. I think you could go any receiver on any team at that point.
Yeah, true. Let's just move on here. In the 3 primetime games coming up, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, New England, which game will the Bills score the most points?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
San Francisco, Pittsburgh, New England. Which game will we score the most points? I'm not going to say Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be the most competitive of the 3. The 49ers, it's on the road. I do expect us to win that game, but I think I'm going to answer New England. It's crazy to say that, but I think of these 3 games, the game we have the best chance to score a lot of points is New England.
Yeah, I don't know. Bill always schemes up something, and he keeps it limited for young quarterbacks. I mean, Josh is starting to figure it out. I get it. But, Bill's going to play them hard. I'm going to go San Francisco out west.
Okay, still a good defense there.
Just because the injuries. I mean, it's just a path of least resistance. All right. According to NFL.com, the Dolphins' playoffs seeding is currently 6. Where do they end up in the final playoff seeding at the end of the year?
I'm going to say 7th. They're going to be they'll make the playoffs now, which is impressive with their record and the teams they have in front of them. Even if they only win the games that look like the obvious ones, I would even go as far as to say they could lose to a team like Cincinnati and then lose the last 4 games, end up 8-8, and still make the playoffs as the last seed. So I think they'll be competing for that last spot for sure. 7, right?
Yeah,
7 seed.
I think competing 6, 7, or they end up 8, 9. Right, that's definitely a possibility that they miss the playoffs. But a lot of 6-3 teams right now. Currently, the Bills are 7-3, so their bio's coming up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are 6-3. So it really could go any direction. And to be honest, I think Miami's probably the bottom of these 5 teams. They're 4 or 5 in my opinion. I think Cleveland's better right now. I think Tennessee's better. I think Baltimore's better, clearly. And that the Raiders team with the Dolphins kind of toss up for me.
I think.
But if we're ranking those, and also the Colts are in there as well, so the Colts are better in my opinion.
Yeah,
too.
I would take the Colts over them. I would probably take the Raiders over them. Cleveland is probably their closest competition. I might take Miami over Cleveland.
Yeah, just the rookie quarterback thing.
Yeah, he's gonna.
I get Baker's a liability, but I mean, if you limit him, that run game is so
and
good.
Their defense
and proven.
is decent. Yeah, but Miami's is too. So that's why I kind of put those two on the same level.
All right, so that's a interesting.
And the AFC is
there.
super competitive. I mean, look at those teams; they're all good.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun to watch and see how this turns out. I know the Dolphins' next few games are easy. They're easier when you talk about wins and losses when you're ranking a team. They don't have to win too many to get to 9-7, right?
Right. They only need a couple more.
3 games gets them to 9-7, and they're there, right? So when you talk about who's the hardest, which team's going to have the hardest time getting to 9 wins? I don't think it's Miami, right? I think these other teams have a tougher schedule. Okay, let's see here. I got a good one for you. The starting player most likely to not be back with the Bills next season. Don't say Trent Murphy.
He's not a starter at this point anyway. Most likely not to be with the Bills next season. Whew. Free agent or somebody who gets cut, you mean? Not just like one or the other?
Somebody who's starting for the Bills right now who is most likely to not return next season. Will not be a starter next year or be off the team next year.
Oh, that's so tough because the guys who come to mind are the ones that I don't want to be on another team. For me, the most likely...
Which one came to your mind first, though?
Darrell Williams, because I feel like he's done enough to... Some team is going to want to pay him a lot of money, and I don't know if that's going to be the Bills based on our needs and where we need to go. And why I answered the other question as offensive line, because Feliciano was the other name that came to mind. He could be gone. Yeah, Feliciano is a starter. Ty Nsekhe isn't, I guess. But, those guys are all going to be up in the air. So it's a big position in need, but I'm not sure which one of them will end up not going. But instinct was Darrell Williams.
Fair. I think a lot of people could see that, especially if they do draft an offensive lineman. I think it starts getting tight, right? We saw Quentin Spain go, opened up a few spots, but there's a lot of good players on that offensive line right now. You can almost say Brian Winters might be one of them guys, too. So
I don't know. Yeah, hopefully he's not a starter.
I'm with you. Okay, so in your prediction, you had the final record for the Bills at 12-4.
Yes.
Which would mean the Bills can only lose one more game the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
Which team do they lose to?
Okay, I see what you're doing there. Because I think I'm going to pick the Bills to win the rest of these games. They're all very winnable.
I know.
But if I had to pick one game that they were going to lose to end up 12-4, it'd be Week 17 in a meaningless game against the Miami Dolphins. So suck it. Still means nothing. Yeah, that was originally my plan. I think when we went through the schedule, I had us losing to Pittsburgh. But I honestly think we could beat Pittsburgh, and the Week 17 game will again be meaningless. And that way, the Bills could lose the game, and it doesn't matter to end up at 12-4, still win the division, still be the number 3 seed at least. So Week 17.
Do you think they beat Pittsburgh? We'll get there, when the Steelers are up, but you think they beat Pittsburgh?
Yes. At this point, I honestly think the way it's trending, Pittsburgh's look more vulnerable. I think we're a good matchup against that team. But their defense is good, but it's not like phenomenally excellent or anything like that. I don't think they could shut down our pass game. And at the same time, I think our defense is getting better. And there's no weapons on the Steelers that I'm deathly afraid of. Who on that team scares you? Juju Smith-Schuster's been really quiet. They certainly haven't gotten the run game going. Chase Claypool is a rookie. He looks good, but I trust our second cornerback to cover Chase Claypool at this point. So, they don't necessarily scare me as a matchup at this point with their roster.
The Steelers' defense against our offense will be a great matchup, but that defense is scary for sure. Micah Fitzpatrick scares me in particular. Anyway, let's move on here. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the 2021 draft class to this point. I've seen him mocked as high as 3
Ooh.
and seen him consistently in the top 10. Which team will Jamar Chase play for next season? He's out of LSU. I'm sure you've seen him play.
Yeah.
I know you don't get into the draft
Not so
later,
much, but I did watch the national championship game last year. So.
Right.
Yeah, man. Ooh.
Some people have him top 5. He could be right around 5.
Honestly, the first team that came to mind was the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they need everything right now. They got to get a quarterback somewhere. So maybe they do something crazy and trade for Sam Darnold or sign Dak Prescott and end up drafting a wide receiver. They're certainly wide receiver needy on that team, and they seem to pick wide receivers, but none of them that are that elite and like the guy. They still don't have the guy on that team. So they're the first team that came to mind, especially up in that picking range.
Laviska Shenault's been doing big stuff for them this season.
But he's not a number 1 guy. He's more like a slot number 2, 3 guy.
But yeah, he might be a running back.
Yeah, right. You hand him the ball more than any. He's a playmaker for sure, but he's not an elite wide receiver.
I got one for you. How about the New York Giants?
Oh, that would be
I
interesting.
think they'll be around 3 or 4 wins, right? They'll be a top 10 team, and I think they need a playmaker like Jamar Chase.
I would like to see that.
That'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
That would be a good fit.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I like their offensive weapons already. It's just a matter of can they keep them going and develop them in the right way. So they could add an elite receiver. That would make sense for them.
All right, got one more for you, and we'll move on. You've seen a lot of football games. What's the best game day food?
Oh,
first thing that comes to mind.
Wings. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but wings all the way. I feel like when I think football, I crave wings, right? There's in the off season or, maybe every once in a while I'll be like, I want some wings. But when football's on, I want wings. It just makes sense to me, It fits.
Yeah, I think pizza and wings too, but like brats and tailgate stuff you can cook up is always good too. 2 different things. If you're watching it at home, I think it's pizza and wings. But if you're at the game and you're tailgating, I think you got to go, just simple burgers and hot dogs, man. Yeah. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's easy, it's fun, the environment's good. You can't go wrong.
Man, you're making me miss tailgating. So
I know.
No tailgating.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. All right, so that's our Stampede segment. Good answers, Anthony. Good stuff out there.
Yeah, we did pretty well there.
Yeah, you didn't crack.
Good discussion.
Came at you a little hard, but
I gave some good answers. I saw you try to catch me there a couple times. I walked my way around it.
All right, so let's take a trip around the league. I just want to talk about the divisional races and maybe some expectations of how these teams can finish. This is a fun time of the football year. It's the race for the playoffs. There's only a handful of games left. And there's a lot of divisional races. There's a lot of top-heavy divisions, especially in the AFC. So we figured this would be fun for the listeners just to go around the league and talk about each one. So, starting with AFC West, you have the Chiefs at 8-1, the Raiders at 6-3, the Broncos are out of it, 3-6, Chargers out of it, 2-7. Do the Raiders have a chance here to catch up to the Chiefs?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think the Chiefs are going to finish somewhere around 13-3. Even if the Raiders play their best football going forward, I just think Kansas City's a better team all the way around. Their defense is so vulnerable, and it's frustrating thinking about the Bills game versus them and seeing them play these other teams. Their offense is just so good that it doesn't matter that their defense is vulnerable. Similar to like a Seattle situation, not quite as bad as Seattle has been, but they're beatable, but they still have been playing the most consistent, and there's nothing I've seen to show that anybody in this division can compete with them, and that was pretty much my expectations coming in. I predicted them to have a 13-3 record. I think they can still catch Pittsburgh for that number 1 seed, so they're definitely still playing for something too. It's not like once they lock up the division, they're gonna mail it in or anything.
Yeah, the Raiders have won 3 in a row. Chiefs have won 4 in a row. If it's any other team, in the AFC, besides the Chiefs, I think the Raiders have a shot. I think the Raiders are trending up. I like what they're building. I put them in the Miami category of, I think they'll be real contenders next season. There's still a lot of young players on the Raiders. Josh Jacobs pretty young, huge playmaker for them. Cleveland Farrell, who they drafted top 5, is extremely young. I think as they move forward, things will get better for them. So let's go to the AFC North. Steelers are 9-0, and you have them, the Ravens and the Browns, both 6-3. And it's a race. That 7 seed really helps these teams out this season.
Yeah, here's another one that is, it's just a super competitive division. I picked the Steelers to win this division in the preseason, but I thought it would be a lot closer at this point because my expectation, and this will hold true moving forward for the rest of the season here, is that these teams are going to beat up on each other, right? Cleveland's going to pull out a win against, I don't know, the Steelers or something, and Baltimore can lose, as we saw, can lose to a team like the Bengals, right? This whole division is competitive. They're going to beat each other up. I definitely don't think the Steelers will stay undefeated. They've come close to losing a few times. They're going to get caught at some point. And if I were the Steelers, I'd want that to happen. I don't want to go undefeated and have these crazy expectations moving forward into the playoffs. I think they're human too, but they look like the best team in this division, right? We've seen Baltimore falter and fall a little bit from grace, even though most people pick them to win the division and go far into the playoffs. The Steelers look like the better team, definitely, so far in 2020. Cleveland is competing for one of those last playoff spots. Between them and Baltimore could end up beating them to stay in the playoffs and kick Cleveland out of the playoffs. And honestly, I think that's my ideal scenario. Again, maybe I'm sticking to my preseason predictions here, but I had Cleveland just missing the playoffs. I had Baltimore as the first wildcard team. And that could still very well work itself out that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if that switches, right? Maybe Cleveland goes on a run here. Baltimore, as we've seen, has kind of stumbled a little bit. Maybe Cleveland jumps then, ends up getting one of those wildcard spots and knocks Baltimore out of the playoffs. That would be much more shocking, but it's very much on the table at this point.
Yeah, and this division technically is still up for grabs here. Baltimore and the Steelers still have a game to play, and then Cleveland plays the Steelers week 17. Could go either way for the Steelers. I mean, they're not out of it yet. I'm saying? Like, they only need 3 losses. Their remaining games: Jacksonville, Baltimore, Washington, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Cleveland. Hard to find 3 losses there, but not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, something's got to give, right? Like I said, Pittsburgh has the clear advantage being undefeated at this point. It looks pretty good on their schedule, but they're not going to be. They're certainly not some undisputed champion at this point. They are going to be competing with these teams all the way down the stretch.
All right, so let's go AFC South. Basically, 2 teams competing for this one: the Colts and the Titans, both 6-3. Where's division here? Titans have the 1 game up in the division. They're 2-1. The Colts are 1-1. Who do you think ultimately wins this division?
I'm sticking with the Titans here. I think, they're still the better team altogether. They still have a running back in Henry who likes to get loose later in the season, and I feel like he's going to carry this team a little bit in down the stretch run here to give them the division lead. They had a huge loss to Indy, but they play them again, I think, next weekend, right? So that's going to be a huge game for this division. If Indy wins that, they're going to look real pretty because of their tiebreaker advantage. But I'm still sticking with Tennessee just because I feel like they're the better team overall. Phillip Rivers has been up and down. I know he's what you can get out of him, but I don't trust that to get that out of him. Whereas with the offense of Tennessee, I feel like you're going to get exactly what you expect from them. So that's why I'm picking Tennessee moving forward here. But it's going to be fun. This is going to be a fun battle down the stretch. And just so we know that I don't get everything right, I think I picked Houston to be one of the wild card teams coming out of here and competing with Indy rather than it being Tennessee. I had Tennessee winning the division, but Indy and Houston competing with Houston getting the wild card. So seems like I was dead wrong at this point there. Granted, they're fired their coach and now starting to rebuild as a team. But yeah, I mean, I still think Tennessee and Indy. The big question is, does Indy make the playoffs as a wild card if they do end up losing to Tennessee?
Right, definitely in the race. I think they are good enough to get into the top 7 in the AFC. I think the Colts win the division, to be honest. I mean, the Tennessee team, you talk about, consistency and trust. Like, do you actually trust the Titans? I don't. I think they drop the ball a lot as far as like big games and stuff, and they're expected to win. They always, they seem to slump a little. But I trust Frank Reich is really the big thing, and I trust the Colts defense. Rivers doesn't have to do a ton to get victories. Defense only allowing 177 points this season. Do we have to talk about the AFC East?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, it's Buffalo's division to lose. I don't care what the media hype is around the Dolphins. It's crap at this point. Yes, they're good. Yes, they're competing for a wild card. Yes, they're better than most people expected. Again, I thought they would finish second with a record of 8-8 behind the Buffalo Bills. I still think that. I'm holding true to that. It's still the way it looks in the standings. And until they jump over the Bills, it's the Bills' division. If they win next week and the Bills have a bye, the Bills are still in first place. And if we all win down the stretch, if we keep the same record down the stretch, it's the Bills' division. So don't give me this, don't buy into this crap of the national media and the Tua hype saying, oh my God, they're going to win the division. Those people don't watch football, or at least don't watch the AFC East, because that is not where this team is at this point. The Bills don't look like a team that's ready to give this up. The Dolphins, although they've looked good and much better than people have thought, they're not ready to take this over with a rookie quarterback at the helm. They're going to stumble along the way, and they're still going to be in good position to make the playoffs, so good for them. But it's not going to be at the expense of the Buffalo Bills. The big question mark here is the Patriots. How many games do they win down the stretch? I mean,
they're one game from 500, and they got Houston, Arizona, the Chargers, then the Rams. Quick turnaround week. They play the Rams Thursday night.
That's the biggest mystery for me. They could win all of those games, and they could lose all of those games.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be surprised either way. So,
and the last 3, if they can get in a position to compete for the division, the last 3 games for them is at Miami, Buffalo, and then the Jets.
Yeah, so division.
It will be decided there if they can get in a position.
If for some reason Miami starts to stumble, New England could capitalize on that and jump over them for a wild card spot. So, they can't sleep and rest on their position either. Although, from all indications, New England's going to, probably go 500 down the stretch. So that's not going to be enough to compete and make it to the playoffs.
We can only hope, because that Bills Monday night game, I just don't trust it. I think the Bills might have trouble that night.
Didn't you see us beat New England the first time? You said you didn't think it was going to happen then. It did. It's okay to come around now and say the Bills are the better team. We're going to beat them no matter where we play, no matter what the conditions are.
As the Patriots are driving down for the win, they fumble, right?
Yes.
So we got great play by us, but it was a little too close for my comfort. And don't pretend that you were steady and you knew that the Bills were going to win the whole time.
The thing is, we were very much injured in that game, and the conditions very much favored New England in that game with all the wind and the craziness of the weather. So, I mean, I'm more confident going into the second game than I was in the first game. Granted, we don't know what the health situation will be like then, but we're expected to get guys like Milano and Brown back and healthy, and I think we'll match up much better with them the second time.
We can only hope. Just the best thing that could happen for the Bills is the Patriots drop a couple games before that to put them out of the hunt. All right, let's move on to the NFC North here. Packers sitting in the number 1 seed at 7-2. Drew Brees going down certainly helps them. And let's go. Chicago Bears are 5-5. They have now lost 4 games in a row. They are who we thought they were. The Vikings climbing back in. 3 wins in a row, and now 4-5, and the Lions are 4-5 as well.
Yeah, I like the competitiveness of this division too. We talked about it a lot in the preseason that this could be one of the most competitive divisions, and I think it's going to be going down the stretch, even though Green Bay has a 2-game advantage right now. I think Chicago is trending in the wrong direction. They could end up in last place in the division. And the Minnesota Vikings, since they've gotten Cook back, I know we've talked about that a couple of shows now, they've been undefeated with him back in the lineup, and they've looked like one of the best teams in the NFC, at least offensively again, and their defense is starting to play better too. So I really like the Minnesota Vikings. I picked them in the preseason to win the division. I'm not sure they could get there, but they can certainly compete and come all the way back and be in there for a wild card, especially in the NFC, where everything is wide open at this point. So I really like Minnesota. If I could pick a team beside the Bills whose games I would want to watch for the rest of the season, it would be the Minnesota Vikings. I honestly think they're gonna be a story going forward for the NFL, and they could end up having a player in the MVP conversation if they come back and do win this division. It would be an awesome story for the NFL, and they're just a fun team to watch all the way around. So I'm rooting for them. Green Bay is nothing to laugh at, but come on, when you almost lose to a team like Jacksonville, and then you come out and you score 40 points, and then the next week you can't score 10 points. Like, I don't know who you are, but you're very much beatable. At least we know Minnesota changed when they lost their best player. And since he's been back, they've been back to form. So, again, if you're asking me which team do I trust here, it's still the Minnesota Vikings over any of these other teams. And the same thing with Detroit. You can't count them out of anything at any point. But, we don't know. Are they going to lose 6 straight games, or are they going to, make a run for it and win a bunch of games that they're not favored in? So you can't count them out of it yet either. This is a fun division to watch. And it's nice to watch a division that isn't a Bills division, that doesn't involve my team that I'm invested in, and say, wow, there's going to be some good competitive football down the stretch here.
Yeah, I think of those teams, the Vikings have the best shot to make, the top 7. And the other teams, I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. I don't think the Lions like their coach. And the Bears are just, they've lost their identity at this point. I thought they had a good identity early on. Don't make mistakes, play good defense, and that seems to be, gone. So let's move on to the NFC South. A lot of storylines in this division. We all know why. Breeze goes down. Brady's still leading his team. Winning record, right, for them. So basically, we know this is the Saints or the Bucks. Saints are 7-2, got a game up. The Bucks are 7-3. What ultimately happens here? Because Breeze is down for, what do we think, about a month?
They have only said 2 weeks, but it's probably expected to be more like a month.
Yeah, pretty serious injury with the collapsed lung, broken ribs to go along with that.
Yeah,
correct.
Yes, he had multiple broken ribs. Yeah, punctured lung.
Yeah,
pretty brutal.
But they're sitting in a good position at 7-2. I expect Tampa Bay to overtake this because of the period of time that Breeze will be out.
Why? You're crazy.
Well, just because, you got Jameis Winston at the helm.
Great. Jameis Winston will do better than Tom Brady will against his next couple opponents. You want me to read you the schedule? This week they play the Los Angeles Rams.
Good team.
Yeah, that's not a gimme. I'm picking the Rams there, but it should be a competitive game to say the least. Then they play the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to get their ass kicked. The best team in the AFC is much better than this team that is, being lauded in the NFC. So I'll take.
I think Tampa could beat Kansas City.
Still, even at the least, it's going to be competitive.
I wouldn't put money on this game.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put money on it. But
and then they have a bye week. But then they play the Minnesota Vikings, who we just talked about. They're the hottest team in the NFC right now in terms of the direction that they're trending. Certainly beatable, certainly winnable. And then they have 2 games against the Atlanta Falcons, who, yes, their defense is miserable, but their offense is getting healthier and putting it together. They're playing upset in this division. The Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers, they're not going to make the playoffs with 3 wins at this point, but they can play upset, and they're still competing. They're still playing their hearts out. They're not giving in, right? So those games are going to be tough for this team, and I think that's why they falter. I think the Saints are going to take advantage of that, win their games, even if he only goes 50-50, say he goes 500 in the 4 games, 2-2, they're still going to come back with Drew Brees and win this division. And again, yes, I hate Tom Brady, but I'm just being honest here about the Buccaneers' schedule. You just heard me go through it. There's no gimme here that they're going to suddenly, win a lot more games than New Orleans. And remember, New Orleans has already beat them twice, so they have no tiebreaker against New Orleans if they finish with the same record.
I just think that Tampa Bay roster, they can match up with anybody in the league. So, I mean...
Except the New York Giants or, the teams they've lost to so far.
They beat the Giants.
Yeah, barely.
I mean, the Giants brought it, though. The Giants brought it in that game. Any given Sunday, these teams are
they still
more
have a lot
equal
to
than
prove.
you think.
They have 7 wins right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they finish with barely 8 or 9. So that's just...
I mean, you're hyping up the Falcons, though. The Saints got to play them twice in the next 3 weeks.
Yes, actually... We haven't gotten to our picks yet, but I think this matchup is actually favoring the Falcons this weekend, with it being Winston's first game as a starter back. So
it's a race to the bottom.
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway, that's going to be a fun one to watch, but I do think that Buccaneers team, when they're firing on all cylinders and their game plan's working, the only thing that could kill them, in my opinion, is the distractions. The Antonio Browns, the 3 stud tight ends that they got. I just think it's too much. Is it sustainable? I don't think so.
What about Tom Brady's arm? The guy is 50 years old. He's not going to be sustainably throwing the ball the way he has been for 17 weeks.
They can still win this division, but I don't think they're making it to the Super Bowl. I think they lose a playoff game. Anyway, let's talk about the NFC East.
Oh, dear God.
Yes. Right now, Philadelphia sitting up top.
Cue the clown
3-5-1. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So they're basically like 2 games up on the Giants.
But the Giants just beat them, so that was a huge victory for the Giants.
That's a huge victory.
Yeah, so the Giants...
Giants are 3-7.
Yeah, and...
So it's insane.
Right now, I mean, and then you obviously have the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys who have underwhelmed, to say the least, at this point. But in this division, they're still in it with 2 wins. They're still competing. The division leader has 3 wins, and we're at week 11. This is insanity.
That tie is going to be significant for them.
It's either going to be what gives them the division or what ruins it for them. And at this point, I'm going to say they lose it to the Giants. They lost that huge game against the Giants. I've said repeatedly, I like the offense of the Giants. And I like the momentum that they have, the way they're carrying this team. Yeah. They're not a great team, don't get me wrong. They're going to lose games that they should win down the stretch.
And they just fired their offensive line coach this week after winning 2 games in a row.
Yeah, there was some controversy there, with that hiring to begin with. But I just think, again, in a division full of crap teams, I think the Giants are playing the best and will take advantage of this situation and end up winning this division. The other 3 teams have no shot to make the playoffs, basically.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on this one. The Giants, I think, ultimately are the better team, and they got to learn how to score points. And I think they're starting to figure it out, though. When you watch them, they look like a different team. There's plays being made, whereas they've been pushed around the last few years, and they look lost. This year, they kind of look like they're, working together, spreading the ball around. Daniel Jones is making plays with his legs. I mean, there's something there, whereas Carson Wentz is out of control. I don't know what's going on with him. But he's just not the same guy. The talent's still there, but just having a bad year. I mean, he needs to bounce back, and we'll see what happens there. All right, and we're out of time, so how about we just pick an NFC West winner?
I'll go Cardinals to win it. The Seahawks are trending in the wrong direction. The Rams are mediocre, but I think they're going to beat Tampa Bay this week. So I'm going to go Cardinals to win the division.
I'm going to go Rams ultimately.
All right, I like it. I think they both make it.
I think their defense is elite. It's in the conversation of top 10 in the league, and I think that's the reason they ultimately end up winning.
Yeah, with the other division, with the way we pick the other divisions in the competition here, 3 of these teams could very well make the playoffs. So it could end up being all of them, and San Francisco's the odd man out. So we'll see. That's certainly be something that was not expected coming into the season, with that 49ers would be in last place in that division.
For sure. So let's go 5 for 5. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, hit it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another 5 for 5. I bounced back, last week I went 3-2. But coming into this week, unfortunately, we had some tough losses last week, but I did end up with a record of 2-3. So not too bad, but I like to be on that winning side of things. So let's get things moving in the right direction again this week. For the season, I am now 29-21 with my picks, and have only lost 2 of my big bets of the week. So that's not too bad coming into 10 weeks on the season, going into week 11. So let me start you out with my big bet of the week for this week. My big bet is the Minnesota Vikings, who you've heard me hype up in the last segment, -7 versus the Dallas Cowboys. I know that the Dallas Cowboys have put up a fight in the last couple of games, but the Minnesota Vikings are the hottest team in the NFC right now, and I think they can beat the Dallas Cowboys by well more than 7 points. So that is my big bet of the week, and I love it. I'm confident in it. I'm putting a lot of money down on that one. My next pick, even though I bet on the Steelers and they lost, they did not cover the spread 2 weeks ago, I'm going to take the Steelers with another big line here, -9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like the way the Steelers offense matches up against Jacksonville. We know they're one of the worst teams in the league, and I think they're looking to capitalize and bounce back and kind of put an exclamation point on their record. So I'm taking the Steelers -9. My third pick, the team that screwed me last week, the line was 3.5, but they won by 3. The Detroit Lions getting points, 2.5 points at the Carolina Panthers. Right now, it's not known whether Teddy Bridgewater is going to start in this game. But even if he does, I think I like the Lions in this game. Their offense can really get things going. They're getting points, so I really couldn't resist that. Lions +2.5 at Carolina. My fourth pick, another game that I love this week. The Titans getting points, not just getting points, but getting 6.5 points at Baltimore. The Ravens have stumbled, as we saw, so maybe they're looking to bounce back. But this is a competitive team here. This game is going to be competitive. Even if Baltimore ends up pulling it out, I don't think they win by more than 3 points. So a line of 6.5 is overly generous, in my opinion. So I'm taking the Titans +6.5. And then my fifth pick of the week. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but here we go. I'm taking the New York Jets +9.5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. I just think 9.5 points, that's a big spread. The Chargers have been losing games. They've been showing that their defense can't quite hang. I know the Jets are terrible. I know they're really bad. They had a super competitive game against New England. Joe Flacco seems to be doing a better job than Darnold did of leading this team in whatever direction. At least they're scoring points. So I think 9.5 is a little bit too big for me, too rich for my blood. I'm taking the New York Jets +9.5. So there you have it. That's my 5 for 5. To recap, my big bet of the week, the Vikings -7 over Dallas, the Steelers -9 at Jacksonville, the Lions +2.5 at Carolina, the Titans +6.5 at Baltimore, and the Jets +9.5 versus the Chargers.
Well, there you have it, folks. So go make money. There's nothing to do. This is Bills fans, right? They're not.
Yes.
They're not playing this week. So
now we could stay fully invested in these games. Maybe this will be the week I go 5-0.
Right. You might as well make a little bit of money. All right. So before we do our picks, the Bills are on bye week and they only have a handful of games left. I think 6 games left. What is your bold prediction for this Bills team going through the second part of the season here after the bye?
My bold prediction. How bold do we want to go? I already told you I think they're going to beat the Steelers. They're going to win 5 out of the 6 games.
And don't say my bold prediction is the Bills will lose 1 game.
They could go undefeated. If that last game matters and we end up playing it, they could win all of these games. But the reality of the situation here, I think if you want me to go bold, I'll go against something I predicted in the preseason and say that Josh Allen throws for over 4,000 passing yards. He's on fire right now, as we know. We need to get the run game going in the second half. But I still think Josh Allen is going to be the centerpiece of this offense. Excuse me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't think that's that bold to say anymore. You know, the way Josh's been playing this season, 4,000 is just another number.
Right. So the reason in the preseason I gave was that he wouldn't be playing in week 17, so he'd finish with more like 3,800 yards. But I honestly think he could pass 4,000 before week 17. So even if that game is still a game that we don't need and don't play our starters, Josh Allen's going to break that 4,000-yard mark, and he's certainly going to set a new touchdown record for himself and maybe even for the Buffalo Bills. This has been an incredible season for Josh Allen. He's exceeded all expectations. That's why I think he has to be the focus of this conversation, at least for every Bills fan. He's going to be the name that comes up.
Yeah, I agree. I got my bold prediction was true last week, and we didn't mention that Dawson Knox would get a catch. First play of the game, gets a
catch.
So I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I think the Bills find a running game, and let's say I think they could win all their primetime games through the running game. That's bold. Because we haven't really seen a big running game outside of the New England game. The Bills have not run the ball a ton. And I think as the playoffs get closer, you got to develop a run game to be in control, to if you need to travel to Kansas City or Pittsburgh. That's how you're going to do it. Especially with these primetime games coming up with really good defenses. I think a run game is how you beat them, especially Pittsburgh. So I think the Bills, I can't really give you a number here. But let's say the run game comes alive and they run more times than they pass.
Wow, that would certainly be a very bold choice. I still think you got to pass more than you run. I agree they get the run game going a little more. Now that we're getting our offensive line back at full strength, or at full strength for the first time this season, really, I think that could really, really make the run game get going, because we know that Singletary and Moss are both capable of it. It's just a matter of what do they need to continue the momentum in the right direction. And we've seen,
and obviously Mitch Morris would help that as well. If he comes back,
Morris,
who knows what's going
Feliciano,
on with him. But,
once those two are in, it's going to improve the line play so much. But let's go to the other side of the ball, defense. Here's my bold prediction for the defense. The Buffalo Bills defense is not going to give up more than 20 points the rest of the season. And I don't mean total, but in any one game, they are not going to give up 3 touchdowns. They are going to hold the rest of their opponents to 20 points or less. And I think that's the key to this Bills team going forward. The defense has got to get better. We know that they were an elite defense for a couple of years. Now they've kind of stumbled over themselves. They need to live up to expectations. They've continued to move in the right direction. They're trending in the right direction. They're getting healthier. And I think this is where they're really going to hit their stride and hold offenses to points. I mean, again, look at the opponents going forward. The Chargers, they've been electric on offense, actually. But I think we hold them to 17 points or less. Look at San Francisco. Okay, they're good, known for their defense. They've been winning that way and their run game. But I think we hold them. Going all the way down the stretch, New England, Miami at the end of the year. I don't think the Bills give up more than 20 points going forward. That's my bold prediction for the defense.
Defense is a tough one. I'll say, Ed Oliver gets 5 sacks.
Wow, yeah.
Right, because it's going to be big moments, key moments. These games are going to be close, in my opinion.
Somebody's got to come
So I think Ed Oliver steps up on that defensive line. It is now the second part of the second half of the season, and I think that development will start to show, and maybe Ed starts making plays for us. That'd be nice.
Let's go. I'd love it.
All right, so let's conclude our show with the picks of the week, and we're going to start with the Bengals at the football team.
Ooh, this is actually a good matchup of bad teams, so a fun game to watch because either one of these teams could win. Alex Smith leading the Washington football team, we know what he's capable of, and his story is just incredible to come back and play after his gruesome injury. That being said, I'm going to stick with Joe Burrow and the Bengals in this one, doing their thing, coming out with a W. Yeah,
I'll go Bengals here until that Washington football team offense gets figured out. I like Joe Burrow, man. I think he's again, like I mentioned just a little while ago, this is the second part of the season. You're going to start to see some development from these rookies and from young players. I think Joe Burrow does take another step here in the second half of the season. Falcons at Saints.
Well, here you go. We talked a little bit about this, but I'm actually going to pick the Falcons in this game. I think the Saints have a better defense, and the Falcons have, God knows, their defense has been attacked. But I think Jameis Winston coming back as a starter, he's going to get his. This game is going to be a high-scoring shootout. But I think the Falcons are chomping at the bit to come out and beat this New Orleans team while they are transitioning to this new leadership. I think they'll do fine with Jameis Winston at the helm, like I said. But in this game here, I like the Falcons.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I just there's a lot of weapons for that Saints team, and I think that Saints defense gets overlooked a lot because of the Saints offense. The Saints defense is really good. So I'll take the Saints defense at home to beat the Falcons, even with Jameis Winston. I think you just limit him, get Kamara going, little Taysom Hill here, little Taysom Hill there, and I think the Saints come out victorious. Let's go the 9-0 Steelers at the 1-8 Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, you already heard my take here. I took Pittsburgh as one of my 5 for 5. I think they win by more than 9 points. So yeah, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. I don't think there's much to say there. What's this Jaguars team going to do in the draft, I think, is the conversation now. 4-5 New England Patriots at the 2-7 Texans.
Well, I'm actually going to take the Texans here. I think they've been playing better football. They've been improving on both sides. New England just came off a big win versus Baltimore. And now I think they're going to, fall flat again versus a team that they probably should beat. So I'm going to pick Houston in this one.
I'll go New England. I think they get back to 500. They had a huge win in Baltimore. It was in New England, but versus Baltimore. And I think that carries over to the Texans. Texans are a mess right now. J.J. Watt's speaking out against them. It's a mess. Let's go 3-5-1 Eagles at the 6-3 Browns.
Ugh, what a garbage game. I'm going to pick the Browns. I don't like it, but they're playing the Eagles, who are not a competitive team at this point. I would love to see the Eagles beat them. I think they could keep it close, but the Browns.
Yeah, I got to go Browns here too. I just think that run game is just, it can go and go and go. And Eagles aren't going to have answers for that, in my opinion. They're trying to figure out themselves. 4-5 Lions at 3-7 Panthers.
Yeah, this was another one of my picks. I like the Detroit Lions here. Teddy Bridgewater is questionable, but yeah, I'm going Lions.
I'll go Panthers here. I think Mike Davis can get it done for them. I'm not sure if McCaffrey's back or not, but
he's not. He's out. Yeah.
He's out, but I think Mike Davis, he's a different kind of back, but I think he can carry the load. I'm going to go Panthers in a close one. Let's go 6-3 Titans at the 6-3 Ravens. Great matchup.
Yeah, here you go again. Obviously, I took the Titans with the points, and I actually think they're going to come out with the victory in this game. Baltimore has stumbled. Tennessee needs a statement victory. Both of these teams really need this game. So I think it's going to be a competitive and fun game to watch, but I'm taking Tennessee.
I'll go Baltimore. They know what's in front of them. They've been, starting to hit the media headlines of being a bad team, and Lamar Jackson's being criticized. I think they bounce back in this game and beat the Titans and shut those people up. Let's go 0-9 Jets at the 2-7 Chargers.
You ready for this? I think the Jets get their first win against the Chargers. On the road. I just think they're going to win a game eventually, somewhere, somehow. And I think this is one of the opportunities for them. Again, I like the way Joe Flacco got momentum going in the right direction for the offense, at least against New England. Their defense is what ruined it for them and their special teams. And obviously, the rookie quarterback for the Chargers, Herbert, is very good and can take advantage of that weak defense. But they got to win a game somewhere. So I'm going to pick the Jets. I gotta have them winning somewhere.
That would be a huge mistake by the Jets, which I know they would
exactly.
do.
Exactly, that's Jets.
yeah, just don't win at this point. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. I think that long distance travel, I just don't see it for the Jets. Like, why would you? They know what they are. They know what the goal is now at this point. I think the Chargers come out with this because they're trying to develop their rookie and implement a good game plan, and I think the Chargers win big. Let's go 6-3 Dolphins at the 3-6 Broncos.
Oh, man, I really wanted to pick the Broncos for this game, especially if they had Drew Lock. They seem to finally be getting momentum going on offense, but he gets hurt, and their backup quarterback, the last time he played, he won a game, but he threw 3 interceptions. So this Dolphins defense is no joke. I just think the Dolphins are the better team coming into this game. They're going to win it.
I really think this game could go either way. Vic Fangio is a hell of a defensive coordinator, and he's going against a rookie quarterback who's in his 3rd game. There could be a lot of confusion there, but on the flip side, Drew Lock has not shown the ability to take a game over to this point. He makes nice throws here and there, but to play a full, complete game and get a big win.
Well, he's out. Drew Lock is out for this game.
Oh, he's out?
Yeah, so that's...
Who's their backup?
Oh, God, I don't even know his name. It's not... oh, boy, now I got to look this up.
It doesn't matter. I think it'll be a close one, but I'll take Miami. I was going to take them regardless.
Yeah, they got a couple guys, but it's not... Oh, damn. I can't find it. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. 2-7 Cowboys at the 4-5 Vikings.
Well, I'm all over the Vikings here. They're my big bet of the week. I love the direction they're going. I think they're the hottest team in the NFL right now, really. I got to go to the Vikings.
Yeah, as long as Dalvin Cook's playing, I think they're good to go, especially at home. I don't even know what Dallas is doing anymore. They're out of the headlines for the first time in a long time, and it's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go 7-2 Packers at the 6-3 Colts.
This is going to be a good matchup, but this is also a matchup where I said that the Green Bay plays every other week, right? It seems they show up one week, then they don't, and then they show up. So I have the Colts winning this game. I just think it's going to be competitive. These two quarterbacks are going to play well, but I don't trust Green Bay. I think Indy's defense gets it done here, and the Colts win.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. This game could go either way, and I think Frank Reich will have a good game plan. But I just think the Packers they have so many weapons, and then they can really throw anything at you. It's hard to play them. We don't know what Aaron Rodgers we're going to get. Is it lackadaisical Aaron Rodgers, where the Green Bay Packers just run the ball the entire game, or is he going to make a ton of throws? Is Devontae Adams going to take over this game? I'll take the Packers. I think they're just too much for the Colts at this point. Let's go 8-1 Chiefs at the 6-3 Raiders. Divisional matchup, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I like the Raiders' offense, but they're not good enough to compete with the Chiefs. We kind of talked about this earlier. I think the Chiefs, it's their division. They're looking to close it up and make a statement and say we're done. We're the kings of this division for a reason. We're competing for that number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. So yeah, I'm picking Kansas City.
This Raiders team is the only loss for the Chiefs this season, but I think Pat Mahomes in Las Vegas in a new stadium. I think that's just going to be his environment, and he takes over. He will remember that they lost to this team, and I think they get a payback. Monday Night Football, 6-3 Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 7-3.
Well, I already told you what I like here too. I'm taking the Rams to beat Tampa Bay. I think this could be a competitive game, another fun one to watch. So at least it's a fun primetime game. We have to deal with watching Tom Brady play, and I swear to God, if the damn announcers one more time say, "What a great pass from Tom Brady," every goddamn time he throws the ball, I'm going to jump through the TV and strangle them. So please, whoever's calling this game, just call the goddamn game and get off of Tom Brady's nuts. We're sick of it, all right? Every once in a while, maybe he throws a good pass, but it's literally every single ball he throws, and I'm sick of watching their games on TV because I'm sick of hearing it. It's just absolutely stupid by these announcers. The opposing quarterback could make an even better throw, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was a completion." It's like, dude, Tom Brady threw half as good, and you're all over his nuts. Like, come on. So
he does have a lot of intentional grounding calls.
Oh God, yeah, and he's garbage, man. I'm telling you. I like the Rams in this game. Their defense, hopefully, the best play in football is still watching Tom Brady get hit. So I that's what I want to see.
Okay, I'll go Tampa Bay here. I do think the Rams are good, but I don't think the Buccaneers win because of Tom Brady. I think it's Ronald Jones and the Tampa Bay defense. I mean, obviously, with that receiving core that the Bucs have, I mean, Brady will have his plays here and there. But Ronald Jones is really, the reason that I think they made it to 7 wins, because he could control the tempo of the game, and he's breaking big runs. Add Leonard Fournette in there for a couple of big runs, because Brady needs that to be successful, right? We know that from New England. I think they put it all together and beat the Rams on Monday Night Football. So, we have no bold prediction. We have no game.
Yeah, nothing to do here.
So, this is kind of odd. Anyway, we will have a Tuesday night show, 9 p.m. We hope to get Sterling back. Obviously, no rush with him, with his issue, but hopefully it's the trio. If you're bored, you can always check out our show. Last week, we did a Cover 1 mega show with Greg Thompson and Anthony from Disguise Coverage. Be sure to check that out on YouTube, all major platforms, and we will see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m.
As always, go Bills!